Welcome to the Thursday edition of Good Morning Anambra, this lovely day, the 6th day of February 2025. Well, my name is Ajulichuku Okabwe.
My name is Nonye Nwokoye. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Anambra show today. Thank God we are all alive and I hope you had a wonderful night rest. You're welcome to the show.
The show will begin shortly. We're starting with the press review. When we come back, we'll definitely begin with the news making the rounds on ABS website. Don't go anywhere. The show is about to begin. We'll begin this morning. We're beginning with the news making headway, the headlines on ABS website. And the first news we get there is PSC appoint Orutogu as Anambra new CP. Anambra State Assembly Majority Leader Ofodeme asks Ndi Anambra to join fight against insecurity. Onitsha Water Works warns residents against illegal connection of water from pipeline. Young entrepreneurs at Nkwele Izunaka Shoe Manufacturing Market call for government support to improve locally made shoes. Operation Udogachi Security Initiative will accelerate industrial development. That's coming from industrialists. Tinubu asks Senate to increase 2025 budget. UN knocks Trump's proposal to take over Gaza Strip. And on the sporting side, we have RC Lens midfielder Basat Amzat Ojediran eyes Super Eagles invitation. That's all we have for you from the ABS website.
All right, I think it will interest you to know that we were at the shoe market yesterday. In fact, I was awed by what I saw.
I hope you bought some shoes.
Honestly, you won't believe what our eyes saw at that place. And I think that people in authority should visit that market to see things for themselves. Because if I explain it here, you will know. In fact, there are some shoes I saw. I said, did you make it? They said yes. In fact, the one woman came out to say that the guy is making the shoe. The father is equally in that same market. The father has shop somewhere else while the guy is there. You know, some people that went with us actually brought some shoes or some slippers from there. Yeah. So beautiful, you won't even know. You think it's foreign made. There are ones they said they buy foreign soles. You know, they now source materials and they make it in that market.
That's good. Well, well, it's not just going to be government that they should be reaching out to for, would I say, some financial assistance. Even corporate organizations, individuals can go into partnership with these people, and then you probably had some percentage of their franchise. And
you know, patronage for made in Nigerian goods may actually begin there, begin to thrive from that market.
Yeah, that's a nice one. And now we say Operation Udogachi Security Initiative will accelerate industrial development. Why not? It will, definitely, because wherever there is peace, there is definitely meant to be development, you understand? So, well, every person that knows what the importance of what security is will definitely understand the need to help the government. And by helping the government, you're equally helping yourself, your community, and then that way development can, you know, grow in your local communities.
And Anambra State gets new commissioner of police. I saw that story yesterday, and they gave their reasons for changing the police chief in Anambra State. I think the one that left before Itam came, you know, did some great job in Anambra State. And Anambra people were looking up to the person that will succeed that, I think a Yoruba man, person that will succeed him to equally do well. You know, but in fact, there are some shoes that are left bigger, you know. So I think the shoe left by the other commissioner of police was bigger for Itam, too big for Itam to fit in. All right. We hope that the new CP will live up to the people's expectations in the state.
Of course, that's what we are praying for.
All right. We move to the first paper for review for this morning. Let's see the Daily Times newspaper. That's the first paper we are tracking this morning. Petruan backs federal government's ban on crude exportation. Petruan backs federal government's ban on crude exportation with a rider says will reduce price of petroleum products. Speaker Abbas inaugurates committee on SEDEC. Speaker Abbas inaugurates committee on SEDEC. And the Election Tribunal, INEC tenders 3 documents in defense of Governor Okpebholo. We also see other stories. Ned Nwoko's defection to APC sparks row at Senate plenary. Reps lament Telcom's violation of data protection laws. A PDP crisis, Ude Okoye gets BOT nod to remain as a secretary. You know, I don't know why there is row in the Senate, but they should have started before now. That if you come on board with a particular political party, when you defect, you leave the seat. They didn't do it with others, so why is it not going to be different?
And sincerely speaking, and that's the way it's being practiced in St. Climes, you understand? Because you can't win on a mandate of a platform and then you take yourself away, because most times people forget that it is not you per se.
Not just about you.
Yeah, it is the party that you represent that matters. So you don't just leave party, you cross carpet, and then you go with the mandate you got from a different party. You will relinquish that seat.
You know why it will continue?
Why?
Others have done it in the past, and nothing was done to them. So more people will, you know,
so
they will keep cross-carpeting.
Exactly, until we begin to change and then make them understand that you can't go seeking gratification from a party to be the what is it called, the flag bearer. They make you the flag bearer. You contest the election under a party. You win. You're representing your people under a particular party. Then all of a sudden you're telling me that you're switching over. No problem. Switch over, but you will need to leave that office. That seat will have to be vacant. An election will now be done in that your party. And let's say your party, the new party, gives you the membership or the opportunity for you to be the aspirant, then if you now win, we will now know it is you that made it happen, not the party. So I think we need to check all of these things and see where we are getting it wrong. And then enough of this PDP issue. They should go get their house in order. Get them so that Nigerians can have reasons to begin to think that we are not running a unitary system of government
in Nigeria.
Enough of all this.
All right. Well, let's move on to the Punch newspaper now.
And the next paper for review is the Punch newspaper, and the banner headline is talking about 54 trillion budget. Experts divided over raise. Federal government adds 4.5 trillion naira agri infrastructure funds. And right there says, President submits reviewed budget. MTEF to NAS, federal government votes more funds for Bank of Industry and others. Tinubu demands school safety as fire kills 17 in Zamfara Islamic School. Edo Tribunal, INEC lists 5 witnesses over governor poll. Nollywood filmmaker jailed 5 years for drug trafficking. Ogun assaults, Falana receives elderly victim, plans charges against remanded monarch. And then at the mast of the Punch newspaper, PDP secretary Wike comes, kicks as BOT backs governors. Secession, Nigeria didn't learn from civil war, says Dogara. And then we have on transport NLC chapters, TUC rejects highway tolling. And then Dangote refinery FCCPC differs, NNPCL insists on fuel imports. That's interesting, sincerely speaking. It's only in Nigeria where you have something and you prefer to go outside and get it, whereas...
It's a refinery exports jet fuel to Saudi Arabia.
That's interesting.
Saudi Aramco,
yeah, Aramco.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
A lot of stories making their headlines on the Punch this morning, but in fact, my heart goes out to these children in Islamic school in Zamfara. We can see the pictures in front of that paper. What a sad story to hear that your child goes to school and could not come back because it said fire kills 17. It could happen to anybody. Our heart goes out to the families of these victims. And we pray that government of Zamfara State or those in positions of authority in that state should do something to forestall future occurrence of this kind of incident. There's something that is happening in our markets in Anambra State. There is a time fire, every time fire. So they now had to change their style of building so that even if fire occurs here, it cannot spread to other shops. So I think if they will look into that and see how to remodel the hostel for these children to avert fire occurrence, or even if it happens, the victims will not be much that we have read this morning.
We're talking about the 54 trillion naira budget. That's the addition of 4.5 trillion naira. That's for agri and infrastructure funds. Remember, I think on Monday, for certain amounts, I think 4.3 trillion were earmarked for road construction that captured the Lagos-Calabar coastal highway and some other infrastructure in Nigeria. And now we are seeing the reason that money rose to that amount. Now it's factoring agri. So the question is, at the preparation of this budget, how come these things weren't factored in? And this agri we're talking about, is it targeted at Nigeria being self-sufficient?
Food-wise.
Yeah, in the area of food. Or are we trying to go about importing and the rest of it? Because sincerely speaking...
Ajolo, there's something about this country that sometimes baffles me. Most times you hear all these billions, millions,
now we're talking about
trillions being mentioned on the pages of papers. And most times, before you know it, all this money have gone into pockets, and Nigerians will be like, okay, all these funds have been rolled out. At least let's heave a sigh of relief for some time. At least let our economy get better. People will be looking forward to a better days ahead, better months ahead, or better years ahead. At the end of the day, they'll keep, tariff increasing, this all boil down to suffocating the common man on the streets. And people will be like, we thought that all these funds will trickle down to the common man. At least let's feel a sense of belonging in this country, that we are citizens of this country for once.
Yeah, to me, I don't understand. And they will just come up and be telling you that they are voting more funds for Bank of Industry. Agric is going to get its own infrastructural, addition and the rest of it. Or the ones that were earmarked before the last year on, what was on ground to even show for it before all of this?
All this boils down to people not being accountable. Because if at the end of every budget, each office gets what they need to work. Yeah. After that, you come and account for how the funds were used. If Nigerians were accountable enough, we won't be seeing all these things we are seeing, money ending up in some people's, individuals' pockets. Okay. It won't be happening. It's simply because people don't account from head to the bottom, Because, okay, before you get to sit, you're supposed to present your assets or whatever.
Yeah,
how many people have done that? And you want the civil servants to go and declare their own. They are looking at you. They've not seen you do their own. So how do you want them to do? So the same way, accountability should be key in governance. There should be accountability for checks and balances. If not, things will continue to fall apart.
That's true.
All right.
for review. That's the Vanguard newspaper. And the banner headline is still talking about the increase in the budget. Expert warns of dangers as Tinubu jacks up 2025 budget to 54.2 trillion naira. As NAS promises to pass budget before end of February, it's in conflict with CBN policy, high cap boss. It will increase size of deficits. That's coming from Ade Osun, ex-CSI president. Why 2025 budget was increased to 54.2 trillion. That's coming from the budget minister. And we have petrol. Ex-depot price drops by 2.7% to 895 naira per litre. PDP crisis. BOT orders National Working Committee to swear in Udo Okoye as National Secretary. And then on the spot, you have 2026 FIFA World Cup. Super Eagles receive Okoye boost ahead of Rwanda-Zimbabwe ties. And then how government officials paid for one hospital project 5 times. That's coming from ICPC chairman. You have a Lagos Assembly crisis. Miranda survives as Tinubu fails to meet GAC team. Some estranged ECOWAS members may opt to return. That's coming from the presidency. Court, that's electoral fraud. Court sentences Varsity Don, Professor Udok, to 3 years in jail. Owando set to distribute 1.28 billion naira additional shares to shareholders.
You know, when you hear of government officials paying for one hospital project 5 times, they will still let them still come back to tell us what has happened to those people. If actually you've done something wrong, you should account for it. You should go in for it, at least to serve as deterrent to others. When you pay for a particular project for 5 times, that means that's fraud, you know. And when you commit an offense, you should come and explain. You should come and answer for whatever you have done. And that way, that the same accountability we are talking about, you know, Nigerians will know where their money or where their wealth is actually going to. So something should be done, not just coming to the papers to tell us that government officials are paying for a particular project for 5 times or even 10 times. But let us know what happened to them after that.
The next paper.
Okay, the next paper is the Daily Independent newspaper. On Daily Independent, you see a lot of stories also making their headlines. PDP crisis, BOT backs governors, recognizes Udo Okoye as party scribe, supports March 13 for PDP NEC meeting. Ganduje says Tinubu's reforms painful but unavoidable. With riders there, we have 2 riders there. Receives Ned Nwoko into APC. Says APC will take over Delta. Obasanjo, Sultan, Khan, others preach religious tolerance for United Nations. Other stories in front of the Daily Independent. Tinubu jacks up 2025 budget from 49.7 trillion naira to 54.2 trillion naira. Now, Dogara attributes Boko Haram other security challenges to bad governance. Electoral fraud, court jails another professor in Akwa Ibom. Neiti mounts pressure on Senate for solid minerals sector reforms. Reps urge federal government to declare Ondo coastal communities disaster zones. Reps ask NCC to probe illegal linking of NIN by telecom providers. Okay. All the papers we are looking at this morning, it's like most things are being forced down the throats of Nigerians. They'll just wake up every morning to tell you that they are doing this. You know, they've not... I think, don't you think Nigerians deserve some, you know, some respect in some aspects of our leadership? You don't just wake up and do things the way you want it. You know, it's not just about yourself, like what you said earlier. You wake up and you tell us you're increasing this. You wake up, you tell us you're doing this. You wake up, you tell us you're doing that.
There's no system of passing information to this. In fact, you have agencies like National Orientation Agency, you understand? And you begin to wonder what is even the responsibility of these agencies to the Nigerian people. Normally, when issues and policies are meant to be, and decisions are meant to be taken, the government will want to sample the opinion of who the beneficiaries of these policies are meant to be for. But nobody even passes anything to you. Imagine we in civil service, we don't even get to know some of these things. We just see them on the front page of papers. And then you begin to expect people to just comply.
And another thing is that with this way of governance, do they ever think that things will get better? Because when you don't carry people along, there are lots of consequences. You know, the person will just be aloof.
Your leaders don't have that. Imagine somebody telling you that a project was paid for 5 times. And I'm sure nobody is in jail for that. But now, electoral fraud in Akwa Ibom State, a professor is being jailed. Nobody is saying that electoral fraud should be granted with kids' glove, but it should be tit for tat. You commit, you face the consequence. You commit, you face the consequence. Not selective justice like we all get in most parts of, in most parts. So now you see where people are struggling to make ends meet. Yesterday they were telling us about no going back on electricity tariff. That's 200 billion is what government pays as subsidy on electricity. And you begin to wonder, this electricity they are talking about, is it the sun that they are talking about? Because I don't, as I speak to you, I don't even have electricity in my home. I didn't sleep and wake up with it. So now, where is the 200 billion? What is, how did they, how did they arrive at that 200 billion a month the government is paying on electricity subsidy? And we are still paying 200 and something naira per unit. So there are a whole lot of issues that are shrouded in mystery and secrecy in this country. That
and
we really
you remember Nigerians have always cried that our leaders don't tell us the truth. You know, our leaders are not open to certain things. I believe that when leaders are open to the people, or even at least let the people know what you are doing, carry them along, I think the society will be a bit better for all of us. We talk about livable society. Livable society, when you don't carry the people along, is it going to be livable for you? You will keep running out of the country, going there to hide most of the time. You will keep carrying security arms around because you don't carry the people along. And the people feel cheated most times, you know, that our leaders are enjoying while we are suffering. So you want a livable society in that kind of a situation? I think there is high time they have a rethink and learn to carry the people they are serving. Because they are there, they are servants as far as leadership is concerned. Leadership is all about service to the people. So if you don't carry them along, I don't see how the livable society will come about. May God help us.
Yeah, let's see what we have on the next papers for review this morning. And that will be This Day and The Guardian. I will be taking them together. Starting with This Day newspaper. And the banner headline is still screaming, Tinubu increases 2025 budget from 49.7 trillion to 54.2 trillion naira. Justifies why Mineral Resource Ministry was allocated extra 1 trillion naira. Shares additional revenues to banks of agric, industry, military orders. Bagodu explains increment. NAS promises to pass appropriation bill this month. Opposition lawmaker kicks. History as Dangote refinery exports 2 cargoes of jet fuel to Saudi Aramco. Court delivers ruling on NNPC's objection to refinery suit March 18. Oando offers shareholders additional stocks valued at 97.6 billion naira. And then we have a meeting of the supervisory board of the DMO. There you see the vice president and the central bank governor there. Quickly, The Guardian. 5 years on, poor funding capacity hobble Amotokun's mandate in southwest Nigeria. And that's the banner headline there with the pictures of the governors of the 5 southwestern states. And then you have Tinubu, okay, 65 years retirement age for health workers. Federal government has diversification, infrastructure, security in 4.353 trillion review of 2025 budget. PDP trustees move over meeting to hotel. PDP trustees move meeting to hotel over security concerns. Dangote begins fuel exports to Saudi Arabia, pushes capacity to 550,000 barrels per day. Nigeria's output growth may slip to 0.8%, says report. Federal government, WFP, invests 1.2 billion naira, $2.5 billion to tackle hunger and nutrition. Okay, that's good. Now, talking about the banner headline of 2025, the banner headline of this day newspaper, I can see areas where money allocation have increased, like the Mineral Resources Ministry was allocated an extra 1 trillion naira. Now, Noya, in a country where we've had strike every year for the past 25 years or thereabouts, and ASU will keep telling you that the agreement they had with government
the demands have
2008 has not been met. How much is this total money that we're talking about? That government cannot say, okay, fine, since we want to increase budget, let us fashion out, let us include the total sum and even add on top of it and give us so that we know that strike in Nigeria is now left for those that are managing our institutions and no longer the government. Would that break the banks for this government?
You are allocating 1 trillion to mineral resources. What happens to our what of our health sector?
The money generated from the mineral resources, can they use it to get whatever it is that they want? I don't understand
that
what
is the thing.
happening.
You saw the video where what's his name? Former Edo State Governor Oshomole was actually, the man was literally shouting in that video that our retired generals are the ones, mining our gold and taking them out of this country. These are mineral resources. These are things that could yield, increase the GDP of the nation. And of course, the money generated from there could be pushed into health sector, education sector. You are not doing that. It's just for you to go and allocate funds to Mineral Resources Ministry. I wonder, I don't know. Maybe I don't know anything in that regard. I'm just a broadcaster.
I guess with time we'll get to know what it is that the government is actually selling to us. But that's really, really interesting to see here. But I believe Nigerians, that's where we need the power of the opposition to come up and now make things, you understand, clear to Nigerians as to where are we actually headed here.
Now, the issue...
What necessitated this? Now, the president, with all due respect, can come up with this. But who are his think tanks, you understand? And will the National Assembly just veto this whole thing and then these things will just... Nobody's talking about the deficit. Before this increment, there was certain amount that they said they will be needed. I think about 20-something% of the budget allocation will be borrowed. You understand? Will be borrowed to actually meet up with that 49 points. Now you're adding extra burden on that deficit that is already existing.
Ima, look at the issue of poor funding and capacity hobula motikus mandate in Southwest. There's this saying, I don't know if it's in the scriptures, that when you chase away one evil spirit and you don't find something to replace that, it's going to go and get the woman and come and stay there. Now this issue of when security is architecture is formed, there are some sectors of this country that need funding that you need to take care of for them to, you know what motivation does to people. When you motivate people.
But military is getting part of this 52.2 trillion. Military
I'm not talking about the money they are getting. I'm talking about the poor funding that is hindering their performance in the Southwest. You know, when they started, I think they recorded some, they recorded some successes then. What happened? What made them record such successes? You look at that and, keep pushing them to do more. Because when you motivate somebody, it's just like a child that goes to school now and comes back with 10 over 10 in a score. Yes, you give the child sweet. The child will struggle to get 20 over 20 tomorrow. I saw one small child where I went to make my hair. The child did well in class, and they stripped one badge in front of his head. So the boy came back. The mother wanted to remove the clothes. The team fell. The child kept crying. This is a motivation. The thing is nothing, but to the child is something. So
I'm sure he's the only person in his class that has that badge in his head.
So you see, when you form security, it's just like the new Udogachi in Anambra State. If you don't fund them well, we're just digging our graves when we don't fund them and encourage them to do the work and do it well. There are some trainings, retrainings, meetings upon meetings, letting them know that their interest is at heart of the people, that people are supportive of what they are doing. So when such suffers, the whole society will equally suffer. You'll agree with me. All right, let's now look at the last two papers. Or do we have, okay, it's not two. Okay, we are looking at the Tribune. Daily Trust, the Daily Trust and Tribune together. Let's see stories making their headlines in front of the Daily Trust newspaper. How 17 children died, 16 injured in Zamfara school fire. And we can see the pictures of the burnt building in front of the Daily Trust newspaper. We've talked about that before, but please, authorities managing schools should do more to avert such occurrences in the nearest future. Tinubu raises 2025 budget to, we've seen that. CBN restricts BDCs to $25,000 Forex weekly. Senate okay's sack of 3 Rex. World reacts to Trump's bid for U.S. to take over Gaza Strip. Other stories are coming from the next paper for review, which is the Nigerian Tribune. Stories making their headlines in front of the Nigerian Tribune. Fire kills 17 others in Zamfara Almajiri school. Very pathetic story there. Injure 16 others. Government officials paid 100% for same hospital project 5 times without construction. ICPC boss says another listed wife, son-in-law on payroll. Okay. Like governors, PDP BOT endorses Ude Okoye as national secretary, wants him sworn in immediately. Is an invitation to anarchy. Anyanwu. Tinubu approves a 65 years retirement age for doctors, healthcare workers. Declare Ondo oil-producing coastal communities disaster zones. Rep tells federal government. Suspended Ogun monarch. Sorry, I can't see that. Tinubu writes Senate seeks an increase of 2025 budget. Okay, we've seen that. CBN restrict. Okay, we've seen that story too. All right, now the story we saw in the other paper about paying for one project for 5 times is actually coming from ICPC boss.
Yeah, that was what was captured.
Yes, they are in position to, call those people, interrogate them, and of course, give them their due punishment. And you can see that says another listed wife, son, and in-law on payroll, you can see what is going on in this nation. Okay, I don't know, other stories, another story we look at before we move on to the last paper for review. Okay, our time is fast, but let's quickly take the blueprint.
The blueprint, let's go. The PDP scribe war. Anyanwu kicks as BOT adopts Turaki report, recognizes Ude Okoye. Youth wing wants BOT, sacked scribe cautions. We will eliminate political interference, judicial delay in anti-graft war. That's coming from the ICPC chair. Solid minerals, BOA, get increased allocation as Tinubu jacks up 2025 budget to 54.2 trillion naira. Explains FIRS customs positive revenue as reasons for action. NAS assures of passage before February ending. But that's just too swift. Our government, Lawal, mourns as 17 children killed in Zamfara school in Feno. Dangote refinery exports 2 cargoes of jet fuel to Saudi Aramco. Sports, World Cup, Diko Gusau inspects proposed hotel training pitch. Palestinians, Arab states kick over Trump's Gaza. Jigawa board secures 3.60 billion loan for 2025. My freedom after 18-year corruption trial. And that's all we have for you on the blueprint.
All right, that's the much you can take on the press review for this morning. We'd like to thank you so much for being a part of it. We have more coming up on Good Morning Anambra show.
Yeah, don't worry, the show continues on the other side. Don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back.